Start your day with Morning Edition and wind it down with All Things Considered, only on KPBS. From global headlines to local stories, stay informed, inspired, and connected. Tune in daily or listen anytime at kpbs.org.
Good morning, I'm Lawrence K. Jackson. It's Tuesday, December 16th. A mass shooting has left a San Diego rabbi to mourn his classmate. More on that next, but first, the headlines. The court battle over California's new congressional map began yesterday in Los Angeles. A panel of federal judges is considering if the state's new districts can be used in elections. The districts were approved by voters last month in a special election. The California Republican Party sued the state after the election, and the Justice Department later joined the case. They accused the state of violating the Constitution by considering race as a factor. Earlier this month, the Supreme Court ruled to allow Texas to use its new map for the 2026 election. A spokesperson for Governor Gavin Newsom said that, quote, in letting Texas use its gerrymandered maps, the Supreme Court noted that California's maps, like Texas's, were drawn for lawful reasons. The U.S. and Mexico reached a new agreement yesterday. It's being called Minute 333. The EPA says it outlines specific actions and puts a timeline together for addressing the ongoing sewage crisis in the Tijuana River Valley. Specifically, it calls on Mexico to take account for future population growth in Tijuana, an element that the EPA says was missing from past agreements. EPA Deputy Administrator David Fatui broke down some of the work that is scheduled in the months ahead.
Mexico will assess the feasibility of constructing an ocean outfall for the San Antonio de los Buenos wastewater treatment plant. They will also assess the feasibility of expanding the plant from roughly 18 million gallons per day to over 43 million gallons per day.
Mexico's other items include the construction of a new sediment basin to help trap soil and debris from stormwater runoff prior to the start of next year's rainy season. As we approach the close of 2025, the San Diego Humane Society is looking to fact-check a common stereotype, and that's that you can only get a certain breed of dog when adopting. Of the roughly 13,000 dog intakes for 2025, over 1,000 of them were considered in-demand or designer breeds. That includes French Bulldogs, Pugs, Maltese, Maltipoos, and Shih Tzus. Humane Society President and CEO Dr. Gary Weitzman said in a statement, quote, "We believe every dog is wonderful no matter the breed, yet we understand that some prospective owners have specific preferences." The top 5 breeds that came into the Humane Society's shelters this year were Labs, Shepherds, Huskies, Chihuahuas, and the American Pit Bull Terrier. From KPBS, you're listening to San Diego News Now. Stay with me for more of the local news you need.
Figuring out the right sport for your kid can feel overwhelming. I'm taking that journey with my son Dorian, exploring different sports and revisiting the fields that I grew up playing. Together, we're searching for the right fit and maybe reconnecting with a few old memories along the way. It's Game Time Decision, a new series from KPBS. Join us at kpbs.org/gametime.
The mass shooting at a Hanukkah celebration in Australia's Bondi Beach this weekend left at least 15 killed and dozens wounded. Reporter Katie Hyson spoke with a San Diego rabbi mourning his classmate, even as he leads his congregation to celebrate.
In the Ark at Chabad of Pacific Beach sits a Torah that survived the Holocaust. A congregant patched the parchment where the bullets tore through it. At least once a year, Rabbi Yossi Tiffenbrunn takes it out and reads the message within that remains untouched.
When they say never again, this means never again. And unfortunately, we're right back to where we started.
In the early morning hours Sunday, his phone lit up. His school alumni group chat was grieving the loss of their classmate, Ellie Schlanger, a rabbi among those killed in the shooting at Bondi Beach.
He was a tremendous ball of light. Wherever he went, he brought joy to people.
Tiffenbrunn followed the news through daybreak, then gathered himself to lead his community. He sent an email reassuring them that police would guard them, and they would celebrate the first night of Hanukkah together, commemorating the triumph and resilience of their religion.
And here you have a few terrorists that want to dampen and take that away from us. We're not going to let that happen. On the contrary, we want to celebrate more. We want to spread more light.
Tiffenbrunn invites everyone to come stand with their Jewish neighbors celebrating this week. Katie Hyson, KPBS News.
Thousands of sailors, Marines, and airmen just wrapped a large annual exercise spanning from Arizona to San Diego. The exercise puts troops in realistic situations they could encounter on an upcoming deployment. Military reporter Andrew Dyer spent a day on the ground with the 1st Marine Division and has more.
On land, sea, and air, Camp Pendleton's 1 Marine Expeditionary Force is getting units ready for deployment. The annual exercise Steel Night this year will certify the 5th Marine Regiment for a rotational deployment to Darwin, Australia. There, the Marine Air Ground Task Force will be ready to respond to anything in the Indo-Pacific.
What we're going for is creating hard, realistic training for the Marines.
First Lieutenant Caleb Corhorn is the weapons platoon commander for Cherokee Company, 1st Battalion, 5th Marines. His platoon is working today at K2 Combat Town on Camp Pendleton.
Thinking back to what happened in the evacuation of Kabul in 2021, the chaos that ensued there, there is an attempt to replicate the same sort of stressors that Marines saw 4 years ago.
To recreate the events, Marines have secured an embassy and stand guard as protesters, actors bussed in by the Marines, put pressure on the guards at the gates.
Yes, ma'am. Lighting on the left side. My friend, ready?
Navy Captain Garfield Cross is the 1st Marine Division surgeon. All the medics in the Marines are Navy corpsmen, and Cross is here to see how they handle a mass casualty event. He says they're among the best battlefield medics.
They are amazing. They are our strongest asset, to be honest. They are an extension of their physician. They go where we can't go. And they do the things that we can't or are not available to do.
Realism is everything during Steel Night. The Marines are living in the field. After securing the embassy overnight, they were able to sleep indoors.
Some in sleeping bags, some wrapped in a tarp, and then we're all eating MREs.
The exercise was 2 weeks, from December 1st through the 14th. Corhorn and his platoon will move on from the embassy.
And then we're prepared to move to a defensive position later this week. So living conditions will change. We'll be living and fighting out of a hole in the ground that we have dug.
The embassy falls. Corpsmen treat the injured as Marines lead an airborne evacuation. A few miles away at Red Beach, Marines are about to splash into the water from the dock landing ship USS Pearl Harbor. The amphibious landing involves LCACs, short for Landing Craft Air Cushion, and the Corps' new amphibious combat vehicles, or ACVs. It took the Marines more than 20 years to develop and field the ACV, replacing the Vietnam War-era assault amphibious vehicle.
I think it's going well.
Lieutenant Colonel Fred Monday is the commanding officer of the 3rd Assault Amphibian Battalion, which owns all the ACVs on the West Coast. The first deployment of ACVs was pushed back almost 2 years in 2022 after 2 rolled over in high surf off of Camp Pendleton. The vehicle's first operational deployment was in spring 2024.
The battalion right now has 5 elements that are training for deployments, where in the past we were just training for 1. So all the things we learned from, you could argue some missteps years ago where we just didn't know, those have been applied.
Tactical vehicles like the ACV are top-heavy and prone to rollovers. Just days before we spoke with Monday, a Marine at Camp Pendleton was killed in an incident with a tactical vehicle. Citing an ongoing investigation, the Marines won't say what vehicle was involved, only saying it was unrelated to Steel Night. Monday says safety is an important part of planning for any military exercise.
We approach it through two lenses. One, there's safety structure that is in place. So think of safety officers, think of safety briefs, think of all the things to make sure that the Marines know what right looks like and what right does not look like.
The regulations are there, but Monday says there's no denying the work they do is dangerous.
The second part is that a tactically proficient crew operates inherently safe in dangerous environments. So we do speak safety, but we speak risk mitigation because that's what we do as warfighters. When we focus primarily on safety alone, we may lose sight of the fact that we are preparing to go to war, but I will stand behind the fact that if you do it to the tactical standard, you are inherently safe.
Almost 3,000 sailors and Marines were part of this year's exercise. Infantry from 1-5, along with other elements of 1 Marine Expeditionary Force, will deploy to Australia sometime next year. Andrew Dyer, KPBS News.
A committee at SDSU is recommending an increase in student fees to help pay for athletics. Reporter Jacob Ayer spoke with a student who says she and her classmates should get a vote on the increase.
SDSU students already pay $290 a semester for an instructionally related activities fee. Those activities mostly include athletics, with a smaller amount for academic success centers. SDSU's Campus Fee Advisory Committee is recommending raising that fee over a 4-year period, starting with an increase of $60 a semester and eventually going up to $120 a semester. The committee held a series of 12 campus forums to present arguments for and against the proposal. Nina Mendez is a third-year student.
I think that the system that they have set up in order for students to give feedback about the fee is inherently unfair. It's not a student vote, which I think that it should have been.
SDSU declined a request for an interview. SDSU President Adela de la Torre has the final say on the matter. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
Seagrasses that grow in San Diego's bays and estuaries are under threat from human activities. But as SciTech reporter Thomas Fudge tells us, some San Diego scientists have discovered a hybrid plant that can better survive in those murky waters.
It wasn't supposed to show up in Mission Bay. In fact, the hybrid plant was sort of a mistake, which occurred after an oceanic seagrass called Zostra pacifica was planted in the bay. The oceanic grass eventually died off, but Salk Institute researcher Malia Moore says before it did, it mated with another species of seagrass.
So while the Pacifica was there, when it was kind of ephemerally there, it hybridized with Zostra marina and created the hybrid. So it was kind of a human accident, actually.
An accident that created what seems like a hardy plant that likes the local sediment and can thrive in low-light waters, much like its oceanic parent. Todd Michael, a research professor at Salk Institute, says the hybrid plant turns on its photosynthesis genes longer than the Zostra marina.
To capture light all the way through most of the day, instead of just capturing it right when the sun comes up.
Murky water in San Diego Bay is the result of dredging and runoff caused by humans. Is this hybrid plant the key to reestablishing seagrass meadows? We'll see. Thomas Fudge, KPBS News.
That's it for the podcast today. As always, you can find more San Diego news online at kpbs.org. I'm Lawrence K. Jackson. Thanks for listening and subscribing. By doing so, you're supporting public media, and I thank you for that. Have a great day.
KPBS On Demand is supported by ACLU of San Diego and Imperial Counties. The work of the ACLU is about closing the gap between the America that was promised and the America that is. Learn more at www.aclu-sdic.org.